Dakar shocked as 4 contenders crash out. Injuries there are, 2 critical in hospital. So the field dramatically reduced, but Peter Hansel manages to maintain his focus to take the day. Jimmy Lewis storms home on the bikes. A great race day on 2 wheels. Thank heaven. And time for our customary brief look back. First real stage yesterday after the restart. Nicolas Caudet, number 178, said I broke a piece of my suspension. The problem is I have to find another one, and it's not easy. He says it takes something of a miracle, otherwise you'll have to abandon the race. Well, some people's misfortune are to the benefit of others. Kindergartner's bike left there to be picked up, and Caudet was to take the piece he needed, and you can see just how pleased he was. That was the first real stage proper since the restart, and it was taking its toll. Paulo Manuel Marquez had electrical difficulties. And as you know, Kindergartner was hurt. There were others as well. Fabio Fasola down and out of the race. Some were upset, some were philosophical. Thumbs up to the riders who passed by. Laurent Logoff on the Yamaha. It wasn't looking good. His engine turning but dying again and again. It's over, he says. There you go. There you are. 30 kilometers from the arrival. I just can't make it. Claude Arnault on the buggy had their own difficulties. Luckily, a lift-off panel means they can access every part of the engine. What a state, he says. Let's get going. Secure those wheels. Let's go. This is Carlo Arendt, another one of the days injured and obviously upset.
J'ai pris une lunette.
Says I took a dive
120 à l'heure à peu près.
Around 120 kilometers an hour.
Tonneau.
Tumbled forward.
Tonneau par l'avant. Par l'avant et je crois que j'ai... Tiens, Laurent.
Brief drink.
Je crois que j'ai pété le tibia.
Says I think I've broken a tibia. And indeed, it was confirmed he had, out of the race.
Enfin, une vraie
Others, a little more optimistic.
Que ça.
At last, he says, a real Dakar stage with real desert. And with the GPS, it's fantastic. You can drive 200 meters apart from each other, as there's no dust, well, except for here, he says. But as soon as we go off piste, it's great. Absolutely top. I'm loving it, he says. A brief bit of maintenance, and he'll be underway again.
Pour l'instant, tout va bien. La moto marche bien. On s'arrête un peu pour l'essence, mais
Stéphane Tentureur says for the moment, everything's fine. I've stopped for oil. But it's very nice. You can look around you. Very beautiful, he says. I won't be too late tonight. I've got 2 lead weights, he said, however, with me. There they are, his teammates. But that's okay, he says. Great spirit on the Dakar. Sidecar there as well. Rear wheel trouble. Damaged spokes after a heavy landing. They made it in. We'll be speaking to those in a few moments' time.
Essence?
Bertrand Vachette says, you want oil? How can I give you oil, he says. Have you got a pipe?
No.
Taniguchi and Vachette with communications trouble. Stefan Yannick, his race at an end. He says, all right, let's go, boys. Take it slowly, though, please.
Slowly.
It was a tough day on two wheels. Much better today, thank heaven. And so what about today? All the way from Waha, a special of 610 kilometers ahead of everybody. It was a tough one, finishing at Al Kofra.
It was not a good stage in the beginning because we were 340 kilometers to the benzene. It was just a straight open piste. Everybody's completely wide open, nothing technical. And then after we got out of the benzene was another 150 kilometers of the same. And I thought, oh, today is a crazy day because it's very boring. And then the last 80 or 90 kilometers, we got into the dunes. And I think that was to made it for a good day. The dunes were very nice. Not only fast all the time. And then down into the very hard stones again to the finish. So the beginning was very boring, but the last 100 kilometers I think has made up for a good day. Yeah, it's been, all the riders have been looking for each other. Obviously Roma is looking for Saint, and I'm looking for Roma all the time to help him. And Lewis beat us today to the finish, and I was second, which is okay.
And so to the day, as far as the cars were concerned, it all started innocently enough. The cars going off 6 by 6. The first leading group away safely. Peter Hansel, Schlesser, Servia, Botnay, Kleinschmidt, Dillabert. They were there. It was the second group, though, that got the news of the day. Sousa was in there, as was Shinazuka, Demebius, Matsuoka, and Dillabert. Little did they know that ahead of them lay an enormous dune, partially collapsed, and it was to wreak havoc amongst this group. The leaders, they passed by all the bumps, nice and safely. Nobody quite knows why today. A different route was taken by the chasing 6. A different route it certainly was, and they paid the price. All was going well, high speed with Sousa going off very fast, pulling away from the group. Ahead of them though, that dune. On board with Sabi. He hasn't seen the dune yet, but he's approaching it fast. He says, we're trying to respect the road book because the organisation have made a great effort to wipe out any problems. It's very cold though, he says, without this windscreen. We haven't got great visibility, and we're just trying to keep in touch with the rest. Look at this, he says, braking sensibly. Down he comes to see the wreckage of those who'd been before us. Shinazuka was down, so was Prieto, and Demevius, and critically, Souza. As you can see, others were arriving very quick indeed. And I can tell you that Souza and Manuel Lutz are critical in hospital. One other is in a serious condition, Dominic Cerise, the co-driver of Shinazuka. 5 others are injured. That's the latest we have for you. Nobody lost consciousness, but they were hurt badly. The cars had flown over, travelling many, many metres. The wreckage, well, it speaks for itself. Savvy had alerted our TV helicopter, which relayed to the medical centre. They were on their way. We were desperately trying to make them as comfortable as possible. Demevius says, we're all in a line, couldn't do anything. Each one of us was just looking at the car in front. So, when one hits the jutes, normally no problem. This time, though, it was a very sharp drop. It just disappeared on the other side. I don't know how it was that the first group passed safely, but it's a great surprise to us. Souza went over, then me, Prieto and Shino. Very violent impact, he said. He says, I don't feel too bad, but he said, I think I've got compressed vertebra in my spine, both me and my co-driver. And of course, we wish them the very best. It was a huge shock, he said, when we came down. Massive impact. And it's rocked the entire round.
C'est quoi le premier bilan là? 8 blessés au total, tous des problèmes de rachis.
8 injured, he said, 2 with spinal problems. Nobody has lost consciousness yet.
Voilà, c'est bien.
It was only a matter of minutes before the medical team were there. That's part of the magic of this Dakar. They were relayed to hospital. No further details other than those we've already given you. Our thoughts and prayers, of course, are with them. Well, out in front, in that leading group, it was Peder Hansel, heading for another stage win. These blissfully unaware of what had gone on behind them. Schlesser finishing the day 1 minute and 5 seconds off Peder Hansel, and it was buggies 2 and 3 with Servia 3 minutes and 19 off the winning pace, ahead of Fontenay, Kleinschmidt, Delaverne and Matsuoka. Shinazuka did get himself stuck, thankfully for him. Servia was just behind and was able to tow him off the ridge. So we did have a race on our hands, but the enthusiasm for it muted amongst all those that were watching. Fontenay, 4th fastest, just 3 minutes and 21 off the top. Less than half an hour separating the top 9. Strugo 10th, 35 minutes off the pace. Well, in the absence of Shinazuka, it meant that, of course, that the battle is now between Schlesser and Peder Hansel at the top. Others simply playing bit parts, it seems. But they, I'm sure, just as the bikers, would argue with that. Delaverne going through. The scenery, well, it was truly beautiful today. Marred only, of course, by that terrible accident. Jimmy Lewis on the bikes had said that you really couldn't trust the terrain. It had flattened out completely. He could only tell by the weight of his bike whether he was going up a hill or down one. News filtering through and people starting to take it a little more easy, thankfully. And so the results on the day. Peter Hansel takes the stage in 4 hours 25, finishing 1 minute and 5 seconds clear of Schlesser. Serbia 3 minutes 19 off the pace ahead of Fontenay and Kleinschmidt. It means overall that Schlesser now leads Peter Hansel by 8 minutes and 56 seconds. Our thoughts with Shinazuka and the rest in hospital. Laurent Bourgnon, one of those who've taken a dive, as you can see, strained back.
On a fait le saut de long
we were just behind Demevius. When we saw him drop, we braked hard just before. And indeed, he says it's lucky we did. We hit the handbrake, dipped the rear of the car, and as a result, we landed quite flattish. If we hadn't done that, we would have gone over into a dive. Well, the co-driver took one of the bumpers and put it at the top of the dune to warn others. Nobody else, thankfully, flew over. But it was a very violent impact, even for us. And I've jarred my back, he says. Not in the best of shape. Laurent Bourgnon, world-class sailor, of course.
Also, ich kann mir das nicht vorstellen.
Jutta Kleinschmidt said, I never saw any major problems today. We were all together, the leading six, in a group, and all was okay. In fact, we had great fun. Stage was fine. First part was very quick. She said, in the end, the dunes were just very beautiful, and we just enjoyed ourselves. No problems. We just followed the road books, and it was okay. Kleinschmidt's renowned as one of the best navigators on course. It obviously pays dividends to have her in your group.
Ja, es hat Spaß gemacht, ein bisschen kurviger und der letzte Teil war ganz angenehm.
Nous, on l'a vu le truc, ouais, mais bon.
As well said,
On était un peu surpris.
I saw the dune concerned. We were a little surprised by it, but we passed over gently.
Moi, je me méfie.
Said, perhaps we took a slightly different route to the others.
Rien à faire.
But I take care, he says, on every dune.
Évidemment, on va moins
Evidently,
vite,
it's slower like that, but you have to be sensible.
Voilà,
As a
le
result,
résultat.
we're safely here. Trouble is that only one in 1,000 can hurt you. You have to expect it
Ça va passer
at
1000 fois
any
et à la
time, he says.
1001e, c'était un truc.
And so, what about tomorrow? Well, some of the leaders won't be there. We're going from Al Khofra, a special of 789 kilometers in all, finishing at Dakar in Egypt. So, beautiful scenery it may well be. It proved treacherous today. Let's just keep our fingers crossed. There's no repetition tomorrow.